Dito sa China, nagulungan ng kotse.
Nabuhay po kaya siya mula sa insidente? Ang mga susunod na pangyayari ibabahagi maya-maya. Magandang gabi. Ako po si Rikki Mathay.
Ako si Rikki Alagao Flores. Ito ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa mga headlines ngayong araw ng Huwebes.
Malacanang pumuwelta sa pahayag ng China, Pilipinas, hindi isang chess piece ng sinuman.
Senadora Amy Marcos may hamon para kay Attorney Salvador Panelo.
President Lai Ching-te dumalo sa unang civil defense drills ng Taiwan.
Russia sinimulan na ang pagpapatayo ng tulay papuntang North Korea.
At Alex Eala tinalo ang world number 2 na si Iga Swiatek para makapasok sa semifinals ng Miami Open. Sinagot ng Malacanang ang naging pahayag ni Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Guo Jiakun na tigilan na raw ng Pilipinas ang pagsilbi nito sa ibang bansa bilang mouthpiece nila.
Sinabi ni Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary Attorney Claire Castro na ang Pilipinas ay hindi chess piece ng sinuman.
Well, if China really believes and concerned about peace and stability in the region, they should abide by the international law. They should also respect the sovereignty of each country. We are not. The Philippines is no one's chess piece. We are an independent country.
Inilabas ng China ang kanilang pahayag kaugnay sa nakatakdang pagbisita ni United States Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth sa Maynila. Anila, kanila raw pinapayuhan ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas na iwasan na maging chess pieces sa mga regional power plays. Binigyan din naman ni Castro na walang pwedeng makialam sa mga military operations ng Pilipinas, gayon din sa desisyon ng pamahalaan. Unang iginiit ng U.S. Defense Department na layo ng pagbisita ni Hegseth sa Pilipinas na mas palakasin pa ang umiiral na ugnayan nito sa mga kaalyado nitong bansa sa Indo-Pacific region. Inaasahan naman na makikipagkita si Hegseth kina Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. at Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr. para patalakayin pa ang pagpapalakas ng defense ties ng dalawang bansa.
Tiniyak ni Senate President Francis Cheese Escudero na hindi nagpapadikta ang Senado sa impluwensya ng dayuhan. Kabilang na ang China. Patungkol po yan sa impeachment complaint laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Walaan niya siyang nakikitang rason o dahilan o basehan para sabihin ninuman na nagpapakialaman o nadidiktahan ng Senado ng China, Amerika o kahit sinuman. Giniit din ng senador na mahigpit na sumusunod ang Senado sa mga legal na pamamaraan sa paghawak ng impeachment case laban sa bise. Pinabulaanan din niya ang mga akusasyong may delays na nangyayari sa nasabing kaso at wala rin anyang basehan na may political bias na nangyayari. Nilinaw din ni Escudero na hindi niya pinoprotektahan si VP Sara kasi sinasabing political alliances. Ayon pa sa senador, sinusunod lamang niya kung ano ang sinasabing ng batas. Matatandaan kinwestiyon ni Escudero ang mga kongresistang humiling sa Senado bilang impeachment court na pasagutin na si VP Sara sa mga articles of impeachment. Hindi anya ito pwedeng gawin habang nakarises ang Kongreso dahil hindi pa nagko-convene ang Senado bilang impeachment court kaya wala pa anya itong kapangyarihan upang atasan ang bise na sagutin na ang reklamong impeachment. Sinabi naman ni National Security Council Assistant Director General Jonathan Malaya, wala pa silang namomonitor na banta sa seguridad ng Pilipinas. Kasunod po yan ng mga aktibidad laban sa pag-aresto kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Kaugnay ito sa posibleng mga aktibidad sa kaarawan ng dating Pangulo bukas, March 28. Tiniyak pa rin ng NSC na patuloy ang kanilang pagbabantay para sa kaligtasan ng publiko. Nakahanda ring sumuporta ang Armed Forces of the Philippines sakaling humingi ng tulong ang Philippine National Police. Ayon po sa AFP, bahagi naman ng mandato ng hukbong sandatahan na suportahan ang PNP sa law enforcement operations.
Sisimulan na ng Department of Public Works and Highways o DPWH ang pagsasaayos sa EDSA southbound lane sa ikalawang linggo ng Abril. Ayon sa ahensya, target nilang tapusin ang rehab sa southbound lane hanggang November ngayong taon. Inaasahan na matatapos ang kabuuang 200-kilometer lane ng southbound at northbound hanggang sa unang bahagi naman ng 2027. Bilang tugon sa inaasahang impact ng pagsasaayos sa EDSA, ay naghandang Department of Transportation kasama ang Metro Manila Council at Metropolitan Manila Development Authority ng traffic plan para ma-address ang maaaring umusbong ng mga suliranin kapag sinimula na ang rehab. Nakikipagtulungan din ang lahat ng concerned agencies at local government units sa pag-mitigate sa posibleng epekto ng proyekto sa mga motorista at commuters.
Inaasahan ng pag-asa na posibleng wala o isa lamang na bagyo ang posibleng pumasok sa Philippine Area of Responsibility o para sa Abril. Paglilinaw ng State Weather Bureau, bagaman walang bagyong inaasahan ngayong Marso, hindi pa rin inaalis ang posibilidad na magkaroon ng mga o ng isa sa mga susunod na buwan. Dagdag pa ng pag-asa, maaari pumasok ang isa hanggang 2 bagyo kada buwan sa Mayo at Hunyo, habang inaasahang 2 hanggang 3 bagyo kada buwan mula Hulyo hanggang buwan ng Setyembre. Samantala, kahit opisyal nang nagsimula ang dry season, inaasahan pa rin ng ahensya ang mas mainit na temperatura, subalit posible pa rin ang panakanakang thunderstorms sa ilang bahagi ng Pilipinas.
Nagbabala ang Department of Foreign Affairs o DFA sa mga Pilipino na huwag magpapaloko at iwasang maging biktima ng human trafficking. Kasunod ito ng pagdating sa bansa ng 176 na overseas Filipino workers o OFWs na repatriate mula sa Myanmar. Ang nasabing grupo ng mga OFW ay ikalawang batch na ng mga Pilipinong inalok at pinangakuan ng magandang trabaho abroad, ngunit pagdating sa Myanmar ay na-scam ang mga ito. Biktima na sila ng human trafficking at illegal recruitment, pinagtrabaho pa sila abroad bilang scammer sa Scam Hub. Payo ng DFA, huwag maniwala sa mga nag-aalok ng trabaho sa ibang bansa na too good to be true. Sinabi ni DFA Undersecretary Eduardo de Vega, hindi pwedeng magtrabaho kung walang work visa lalo na sa Southeast Asia. Kaya kung ang pangakuan niya sa mga OFWs ay sisipot lamang, hindi yun totoo at isaan niyang trap. Dagdag pa ni De Vega, maging maingat anya dahil kung hindi dadaan ang kontrata ng isang OFW sa ahensya at wala itong verifikasyon ng Department of Migrant Workers o DMW, maaaring maging biktima ng human trafficking ang isang Pilipino. Mismong si Senadora Amy Marcos ang dapat magsampa ng impeachment complaint laban sa kanyang kapatid na si Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Yan ang hamon ni Attorney Salvador Panelo, ang dating presidential spokesperson at chief legal counsel ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte sa presidential sister. Para kay Attorney Panelo, isang paglabag sa konstitusyon ang ginawang pagkakaaresto ng International Criminal Court o ICC kay Duterte.
Kung talagang mali ang ginawa ng gobyernong ito at ang puno ng gobyerno ay ang iyong kapatid, maghain ka ng impeachment laban sa kapatid mo sapagkat yan ay culpable violation of the Constitution.
Sinabi pa ni Panelo na hindi sasampahan ng senadora ng impeachment ang Pangulo dahil nagbabalat kayo anya ito. Hindi rin anya sapat ang pagtalikod ni Senador Amy sa senatorial slate ng alyansa para sa bagong Pilipinas. Git ni Panelo, gusto lang ng senadora na makuha ang suporta ng Duterte supporters upang umangat sa survey.
Oo, ang problema sa namangka siya sa 2 ilog. Binabanatan niya kapatid niya, yung kanyang kapatid, hindi siya binabanggit.
Kaugnay nito ay sinabi ni Presidential Communications Office Undersecretary Claire Castro na wala namang sinasabi si Pangulong Marcos Jr. na may hinanakit siya kay Senadora Amy. Ito ay kahit na inamin mismo ng presidential sister na matagal na silang hindi nagkakausap ng Pangulo.
As we can see from the statements of Senator Amy Marcos, it seems like there is. But on the part of the President, we cannot say that there's a rift between the relationship, in the relationship of the two siblings. So, hintayin na lang po natin kung meron man sasabihin ng Pangulo. But sa ugali po kasi ng Pangulo, hindi po siya masyadong, alam niyo po yun, hindi siya pikon. Kaya kahit anong banat, kahit nakita na niyo po si Senator Amy Marcos na nandoon sa Maisog Rally habang binabanggit ng dating Pangulong Duterte ang paninira sa kanya, kay PBBM, wala po tayong nadinig. Wala rin po tayong nadinig na anumang hinanakit kung meron man mula sa Pangulo para sa kanyang kapatid.
Susunod, Taiwanese President dumalo sa first civil defense drill.
Kim Jong-un tinesting ang mga bagong armas.
At Russia sisimulan na ang pagtatayo ng tulay na kokonekta sa North Korea. Mga balitang yan at iba pang mga balita sa pagbabalik ng Mata ng Agila International.
Ngayong Sabado sa Motorcycle Republic.
The ride is a short ride, 26 kilometers. This is mostly kainan dahil it is a buffet breakfast sa Summit Ridge Hotel in Tagaytay.
Thank you sa pagsama sa amin, mga kapatid. Talagang nagsimula tayo as a pare-parehas lang na passionate rider. Pero ngayon, isang pamilya na tayo na nabuo, na talaga namang hindi na mapag-iwalay.
Isasama namin kayo tuwing Sabado, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Let's get together. Sunday 25. Sunday 25.
With every passing second, a life is on the line.
911, where's your emergency?
Please help me!
What's your name?
Casey!
In the face of imminent danger,
Hurt that little girl.
You're just an operator. What are you gonna do?
Casey's safety is the ultimate mission. Selfless sacrifice for the sake of others.
Open the door now!
Don't miss the thrilling action of The Call. Only on Cine Throwback. This Sunday, 12 noon, here on Net 25.
Let's get together. Sunday 25.
Sinubaybayan ni Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te ang unang civil defense drills ng kanyang bansa sa ilalim ng bagong Social Resilience Committee.
我们目的是希望能够打造台湾社会的韧性， 能够妥善的因应当大自然发生天灾地变的时候，又或者是重大意外事故造成大量伤患的时候，又或者是区域地缘政治的变化，我们不敢这个不准备有道是预防重于治疗物是敌之不来，是为有以待之。
Idinisenyo ang pagsasanay na ito upang maihanda ang mga Taiwanese sa mga kalamidad at emergency situations katulad ng mga tsunami o ang pag-atake sa mga importanteng gusali ng Taiwan. Ang drills na ginawa sa lungsod ng Tainan, ilang kilometro timog ng Taipei ay pinangunahan ng bagong Whole of Society Defense Resilience Committee na ginawa noong nakaraang taon upang paghandaan ang mga emergency katulad ng pag-atake ng China. Ayon kay Lai, itong unang malakihang ensayo na isinagawa ng kanilang bansa na nilahukan ang halos sa 1,500 katao. Ngunit sinabi niyang layunin ng kanyang gobyernong madagdagan ng mga taong makikisali sa naturang aktibidad sa mga susunod na buwan.
数十年来，中国并吞台湾，消灭中华民国的野心，没有一天改变过。不仅仅持续文攻武吓，对台湾社会的统战渗透也愈来越严重。从2005年，中国颁布所谓的反分裂国家法，把武力并吞台湾视为国家任务，到去年6月发布所谓的惩毒22条，将所有不接受台湾是中华人民共和国一部分的所有人都视为惩戒对象，作为伤害台湾人民的借口。
Hinimok ang EU na gawin ang rational choice at palakasin ang ugnayang pang-ekonomiya nito sa bansa sa harap ng kawalang katiyakan ng bagong administrasyon ng Estados Unidos. Ilalabas itong pahayag na ito sa pagbisita ng European Union Trade Chief Marcos Sefcovic sa Beijing kasunod ng lumalalang tensyon sa pagitan ng EU at ng US. Inihayag ni US President Donald Trump ang pagpapataw sa bagong taripa sa imported na sasakyan na makakaapekto na malaki sa mga automakers ng Europe, partikular na sa Germany. Kinundina naman ito ni European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen na nagsabing ang hakbang na ito ay magkakaroon ng negatibong epekto para sa negosyo at mga mamimili. Sa pagbisita ni Sefcovic sa China, inaasahang tatalakayin niya ang mga pangunahing issue sa kalakalan katulad ng trade imbalance sa pagitan ng EU at China, market access barriers at mga cross-border data transfer restrictions. Gayunpaman, inaasahan ding bibigyan din niya ang kahalagahan ng mas matibay na ugnayan sa pagitan ng dalawa, lalo na at ang EU ay isang major export destination para sa produktong Chino. Habang nahaharap din ng China sa malawakang US sanctions, ay patuloy itong nakikipag-usap sa mga European leaders ngayong linggo. Sinabi ni Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi na sinusuportahan ng Beijing ang strategic autonomy ng Europe at bukas ito sa pagpapalakas ng bilateral relations. Ayon sa Global Times, dapat maging pragmatic ang Europa sa foreign policy nito at isaalang-alang ang mas malalim na pakikipagtulungan sa China bilang isang matatag at maaasahang kaalyado sa harap ng pabago-bagong global situation.
中欧双方要坚持做互利共赢的合作伙伴，通过协商妥善解决存在的那么具体的问题，开辟呢双方合作新的前景。
Sinubaybayan ni North Korean leader Kim Jong-un ang testing ng kanilang bagong AI drones. Sinuri din ni Kim ang mga upgraded reconnaissance drones ng kanilang bansa na kanilang sinabing may kakayahang umasinta ng land and sea targets. Inilabas din ng Pyongyang ang kanilang unmanned airborne early warning aircraft na magsisilbing pangunahing aspeto ng kanilang air defense systems. Ayon naman sa South Korean Joint Chiefs of Staff, sinabi nilang kinakailangan pa ng mas masusing pagsusuri para matingnan kung tunay na magiging epektibo ito sa mga wartime situations.
오늘 공개한 그 개조된 조기 경보기는 아직 정상 운영이나 그 효용성 측면에서 새로운 평가가 필요합니다. 보시면 알겠지만 굉장히 둔중하고 또 요격에도 취약할 것으로 판단하고 있습니다.
Ayon naman kay South Korean JCS spokesperson Lee Song-joon, hindi maipagkakait ng Russia ang kanilang pagkakasangkot sa military advancement ng North Korea. Sa ilang okasyon na rin ay nagbigay ng anti-air missiles at air defense equipment ang Russia sa North Korea.
내부 장치들과 그런 부품들은 러시아와 연관성이 있을 것으로 보고는 있고 기종 자체는 북한이 보유하고 있던 것을 개량하는 것이죠.
Sisimulan na po ng Russia at North Korea ang pagpapatayo ng tulay na nagkokonekta sa dalawang bansa. Ayon sa State News Agency ng Russia na RIA Novosti, sinabi ng Russian Ambassador to Pyongyang na sa mga susunod na linggo ay magsasagawa na sila ng groundbreaking sa kalsada at tulay na tatawid sa Tumen River upang makonekta ang dalawang bansa. Nagsibol ang plano para sa tulay noong nakaraang taon na magkasundo ang dalawang bansa na pirmahan ng isang comprehensive strategic partnership. Ang road bridge ay itatayo malapit sa Friendship Rail Bridge na binuo naman noong taong 1959 matapos ang Korean War. Isang malaking tulay na gawa sa kahoy na nasira naman noong taong early 2000s. Ang 850-meter na tulay ay kokonekta direkta sa main highway system ng Russia. Nagsisimula na rin ang pagpapatatag ng kalsada sa panig naman ng North Korea.
Ayon sa hepe ng United Nations Atomic Watchdog, maaaring mag-online muli ang nuclear power plant sa Zaporizhzhia, Ukraine, na sa kasalukuyan ay hawak ng Russia. Alamin natin ang report mula kay Terilyn Cunanan.
Nakuha ng puwersang Russia ang pinakamalaking nuclear power plant sa Europa isang linggo bago nito pinasok ang Ukraine noong Pebrero 2022. Yan ang plantang nuklear sa Zaporizhzhia, Ukraine. Bago ang labanan, galing sa plantang ito ang 20% ng power output ng Ukraine. Sa kasalukuyan, patay ang lahat ng reactors nito habang patuloy ang labanan sa pagitan ng Kiev at Moscow. Subalit, hindi imposible na may maganap na nakapipinsalang aksidente rito. Nakaistasyon ngayon ang maliit na bilang ng staff sa planta. Sa huling report ng IAEA, nananatiling alanganin ang sitwasyong pangsiguridad sa Zaporizhzhia. Hinaharangan ng mga armadong sundalo ng Russia ang akses sa ilang bahagi ng planta. Subalit, ayon kay IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi, hawak naman ng profesional ang planta kung kaya't walang agarang banta rito.
In terms of the safety of the plant and the general situation at the plant, I have to say that it is professionally controlled and managed. I cannot deny this. I know that the political side is a different thing. All right, I'm not talking here about the ownership. All I'm saying is that you have Rosatom there, you have Rostechnosor there, you have the operators there, and these are nuclear professionals. So we cannot say that the plant is in a status that would require an urgent or something would be radical. There has been some maintenance work which I have been reporting in my updates, perhaps not as comprehensive as we could have had, but this is also a function of the war.
Ngunit, dagdag ni Grossi, mahirap man posibleng magbukas muli ang planta, isang reaktor kada sandali.
If you are talking about a partial or a gradual restart is one story, of course. That might take just a few months, maybe. To look into one unit and then move to all the others in sequence. So we're talking about months, and perhaps for the whole Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant to be back and operating in full with all the 6 giga, it would take more than a year, maybe, perhaps even more. But the impression that I have is that it would be a sort of a gradual process.
Kapwa inaakusahan ng Russia at Ukraine ang isa't isa sa pag-atake sa linya ng kuryente na mahalaga upang makaiwas sa sakuna. Pinsala sa pambuong mundong Atomic Energy Agency vehicle at pagkasunog ng cooling tower nito.
What we want is to have a moment where we will be able to confirm that there is no longer active combat in this area. There is no active military activity. This will be I would say, tangible progress because we can move to a non-war mode.
Itinutulak ngayon ng US ang pagwawakas ng labanan sa pagitan ng Russia at Ukraine. Ayon kay Grossi, hindi kasali ang IAEA sa mga pag-uusap ukol dito. At kahit sa batas internasyonal, ang planta ay pag-aari ng Ukraine. Kailangan anyang makipagtulungan ang ahensya sa anumang bansa na may kontrol dito. Terilyn Cunanan para sa Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Ayon po sa United Nations, malaking bagay na ikatataguyod ng pambuo ang mundo ng food security ang kalayaan ng nabigasyon sa Black Sea. Alamin natin ang mga detalye mula kay Rose Papa Angeles.
Sa pulong ng Security Council noong Miyerkules, nananawagan ang United Nations ng karagdagang aid para sa Ukraine. Winelcome ng Konseho ang magkahiwalay ng mga kasunduan na inilatag ng Estados Unidos sa Ukraine at Russia upang tigilan muna ang pag-atake ng mga ito sa Black Sea, gayon din ang pag-atake nila sa energy targets ng isa't isa.
We welcome the efforts of the United States and Saudi Arabia in hosting the ongoing discussions. The proposal of a ceasefire, if accepted by Russia, can be an important step in this direction. It is now for Russia to show its willingness to achieve peace. The European Union is ready to play its full part in supporting upcoming steps, together with Ukraine and other partners. As we have stressed repeatedly, there can be no negotiations on Ukraine without Ukraine, and no negotiations that affect European security without Europe.
Ayon kay Acting U.S. Ambassador to the UN Dorothy Shea, sakaling tanggapin pareho ng Kiev at Moscow ang kasunduan, ito ay malaking hakbang tungo sa kapayapaan.
The war must end. We must all continue to agree on this. The United States commends Ukraine and the Russian Federation for taking the first steps towards a ceasefire, including participating in technical level talks this week. We welcome the proposed partial ceasefires on strikes against energy infrastructure and in the Black Sea, agreed to in principle by the leaders of both sides. If fully implemented, these agreements will be an important first step on the path to peace. They will protect lives and improve livelihoods, but the first step alone is not enough. We call on both sides to abide by these agreements and expand on them to reach a comprehensive ceasefire. The United States is committed to achieving a lasting peace, not just a temporary pause, and is pursuing that goal through direct dialogue with both Ukraine and Russia.
Nananawagan si Shea sa Konseho na suportahan ang ginagawang pamamagitan ng US sa dalawang bansang naglalaban mula pa noong Pebrero 2022.
For the first time since February 2022, perhaps the first time since February 2014, we are seeing the common ground between Russia and Ukraine expanding rather than shrinking. That in itself is grounds for optimism. We call on all Security Council members and all UN member states to lend their support to our efforts to achieve a swift, durable peace in Ukraine.
Samantala, pinatamaan naman ng kinatawan ng Ukraine sa UN ang Russia. Natigilan nito ang mabababaw na pahayag ukol sa kapayapaan at simulang gumawa tungo sa tunay na pagkakasundo.
Instead of making hollow statements about peace, Russian Federation must stop bombing Ukrainian cities and end its war against civilians. Everyone should focus on Russian actions, not their statements. The coming days will be critical in determining whether Russia is serious about peace or intends to deceive the United States and the world. Any diplomacy with Moscow must be backed by sanctions, pressure, and increased support for Ukraine. To push Russian Federation toward peace, we need strong measures and decisive actions.
Ayon naman kay Russian Deputy UN Ambassador Dmitry Polyansky, may tsansang maligtas ang daan-daang libong Ukrainians kung maipatupad ang kasunduan. Subalit handa rin anya ang Russia sa aksyong militar kung kakailanganin.
Разумеется, мы только в начале пути. Пока Россия и США лишь нащупывают понимание, в которых заинтересован весь мир. Наши лидеры, министры и экспертные команды возобновили общение и уже достигли весьма примечательных результатов. Так, вчера по итогам прошедших в Эр-Рияде экспертных переговоров России и США было условлено приступить к реализации Черноморской инициативы. Она касается обеспечения безопасности судоходства в Черном море, неприменения силы и недопущения использования коммерческих судов в военных целях. Как мы все помним, именно из-за подобных действий киевского режима провалилась предыдущая аналогичная попытка. Во избежание новых инцидентов такого рода предусматривается организация надлежащих мер контроля путем досмотра таких судов.
Noong Hulyo 2022, sinubukan ng UN at ng Turkey na ipatupad ang Black Sea Initiative sa pagitan ng Russia at Ukraine upang ligtas na makapag-export ng grains ang Ukraine. Sa ilalim ng 3 taong Memorandum of Understanding, umayon ng mga opisyal ng UN na tulungan ang Russia na pagalawin ang food at fertilizer exports nito sa foreign markets. Umatras ang Russia sa inisyatibong ito noong Hulyo 2023 dahil sa reklamong hinaharangan ang food at fertilizer exports nito. Sa kasalukuyan, nakikipagtulungan sa Russia ang pangunahing trade official ng UN na si Rebecca Greenspan upang maipatupad ang Memorandum of Understanding na iyon. At noong Lunes, nakapagkita si Greenspan sa mga opisyal ng Russia. Rose Papa Angeles para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Ginagawa po ng Estados Unidos ang lahat ng paraan upang mapigilan ang isang kaguluhan kasama ang China. Ayon po yan mismo kay U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. Ito rin anya ang dahilan kaya bibisita siya sa Guam upang makipagpulong sa ilang kaibigan nito mula sa Japan at sa Pilipinas.
We are doing everything we can to deter conflict with the Communist Chinese, who we don't seek conflict with at all. But we will stand strong in deterrence and will posture troops forward. That's why we're going out to Guam and to see our friends in Japan and the Philippines. We're posturing forward, talking and meeting with commanders who have the capabilities that understand the AOR, talking to friends and allies, and in that, it doesn't get any better than watching troops in action.
Sinabi ni Hegseth na ang mga pagsasanay ng China ay maaaring palaging maging isang pag-iensayo para sa isang pag-atake. Subalit, ang mga pagsasanay ng mga tropa ng Estados Unidos sa loob at paligid ng First Island Chain, isang isla na malapit sa China, ay hindi anya sinadya upang maging pasimula ng isang pag-atake. Nilinaw nito nga iniiwasan ng Estados Unidos ang kaguluhan sa China.
China's rehearsals could potentially always be a rehearsal for an attack. The rehearsals, the exercises, the campaigns we're doing in and around the First Island Chain are not meant to be the precursor to an attack. We're here to deter. We're here to show strength with our allies. And that includes ensuring that in every possible way American force is projected forward. So we don't want to see a conflict at all.
Naglunsad ang Federal Bureau of Investigation ng FBI ng Tesla Task Force upang kontrahin at imbestigahan ang pagdami ng atake sa mga Tesla dealership sa Estados Unidos. Ginawa ito upang mapigilan ang karahasang nagaganap sa mga kotse, charging station at mga pasilidad ng Tesla na pagmamay-ari ni Elon Musk. Magmula noong simula ni Tesla CEO Elon Musk ang federal budget cuts sa ilalim ng kanyang Department of Government Efficiency, ay patuloy na nagsasagawa ng kilos protesta ang mga tao sa kanyang mga dealership at showrooms. Ayon naman sa mga rallyista, sila ay nagsasagawa ng protesta bilang pagtutol sa mapang-api at opresibong galaw ng kanyang ahensya mula pa noong maupo si US President Donald Trump. Tinawag naman ni FBI Director Kash Patel na domestic terrorism ang mga ginagawang pag-atake sa mga pasilidad kung saan nababalitang binabato umano ng mga paputok at Molotov cocktail ang mga naturang kotse at gusali. Dagdag pa ni Tesla CEO and DOGE Chief Elon Musk na hindi nararapat ang mga tauhan ng Tesla at DOGE na makatanggap ng ganitong klaseng karahasan dahil ang layunin lamang naman nila ay makatulong sa mga Amerikano.
Just trying to do the right thing for the American taxpayer, for the American people. Just a thank you to the DOGE team who are literally getting death threats and being accosted and you know these are a lot of them are just kids. You know, they're just trying to help out, and they're very talented. They could get jobs for millions of dollars a year. Instead, they come here, earn peanuts, and get death threats. So thanks to the DOGE team.
Noong Martes, sinabi ni Pangulong Donald Trump ng US na nais niyang makitang tanggalin ng federal funding ang news outlets na NPR at PBS. Nang tanungin si Pangulong Donald Trump kung interesado ba itong tanggalan ng pondo at taxpayer dollars ang dalawang news outlets na NPR or National Public Radio at PBS or that's Public Broadcasting Service, sinabi nitong ibig niyang gawin ito dahil sa pagiging hindi patas ng grupo.
We don't need it.
The subcommittee on DOGE is going to review funding for NPR and PBS. Now, every Republican president has always promised to take away this money that's going to these two public news outlets. If they're successful, I know Senator Kennedy has backed it, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Congress has backed it. Would you be interested in defunding and taking away taxpayer dollars to NPR and PBS?
Well, I would love to do that. I think it's very unfair. It's been very biased with the whole group. I mean, a whole group of them. And frankly, there's plenty. Look at all the media you have right now. There's plenty of coverage. I was from a different age, and they spend more money than any other network of its type ever conceived. So the kind of money that's being wasted, and it's a very biased view. You know that better than anybody. And I'd be honored to see it end. We're well covered. Look at all the people that we have here today. We're well covered, and we don't need it, and it's a waste of money.
Ang NPR ay isang network ng higit sa 200 local newsrooms. Hatid nito ang malaya at independenteng pamamahayag sa bansa. Focus nito ang balita, tugtugin, politika at maging ang kultura. Samantala, ang PBS naman ay isang non-profit organization na may mga programang pang-edukasyon, kultural at balita para sa pampublikong istasyon ng telebisyon sa bansa. Ito ang pinakamalaking media enterprise sa Estados Unidos.
Susunod, motorcycle rider nakaligtas matapos magulungan ng kotse sa China.
Sa China pa rin, isang kotse nahulog naman sa construction pit.
At 2 fighter jets nagsalpukan sa ere. Huwag kayong bibitiw, babalik pa ang mata ng Agila International.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka nang mangamba. Sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Mailalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa new era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Nagbabalik ang mata ng Agila International at sa pagpapatuloy po ng ating mga balita ngayong gabi. Aabot sa 24 na katao ang nasawi sa naganap na magkakahiwalay na wildfire sa South Korea. Karamihan sa mga biktima ay nasa edad 60 at 70 kung saan mayroon ding 26 na iba pa ang nasugatan at 12 dito ang nasa critical na kondisyon. Kabilang din sa mga kasualidad o mga nasawi ang piloto ng firefighting helicopter na bumagsak habang tumutulong ito sa pagpuksa ng wildfires sa rehiyon. Regular na gumagamit ang South Korea ng helicopters upang maabot ang mas mataas at mas malayong lugar sa kanilang kagubatan na hindi naaabot ng mga trucks. May 23,000 na residente na rin ang sapilitang pinalikas. Natupok rin ng apoy ang 1,300 years na templo ng Uisong City kung saan naagapan naman na tinanggal ng ang mga cultural relics doon. Nagsimula ang sunog sa Sunshine County noong Biyernes at ito ay kumalat na sa Uisong County. Ilang libong mga bombero na ang ipinadala kung saan aabot na rin sa 5,000 na sundalo ang pinakalat sa lugar para maapula ang sunog. Nangako naman si reinstated South Korean President Han Duck-soo na ginagawa ng kanyang gobyerno ang lahat upang mapigilan ang tuluyang pagkalat ng sunog sa ibang rehiyon.
산불이 좀처럼 잡히지 않는 직접적인 이유는 간밤 내내 거센 바람이 강풍특보 수준으로 몰아친 데 있습니다. 우리나라에 주둔하고 있는 미군으로부터도 헬기의 지원을 받는 등 이러한 지원을 최대한 동원해서 진화 작업에 전력을 다하고 있습니다.
Nasawi ang isang 24 anyos na lalaki at 14 anyos na bata sa Bengaluru, India matapos bumagsak ang isang 150-foot tall na chariot sa daan. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, may 11 pang mga individual na nasaktan sa insidente. Pinaniniwala ang dahil sa malakas na ihip ng hangin kung kaya't nawala ng balanse ang chariot at saka bumagsak. Dahil rito, marami ang nagpahayag ng kanilang pagkabahala sa pagsasagawa ng ganitong uri ng aktibidad.
Nakaligtas po ang isang rider na motorsiklo sa China matapos itong magulungan ng kotse sa daan. Batay sa video footage na nakalap, ayan po, kitang-kita magra-right turn dapat ang puting kotse patungo sa isang parking area. Subalit bigla na lamang sumulpot ang rider na motorsiklo. At dahil dito ay tumama ang motorsiklo sa hood ng kotse at nakalagkad ng sasakyan. Mapapansin din na pumailalim at nagulungan ng kotse ang biktima. Subalit sa hindi inaasahang pagkakataon ay wala pa ring nangyari sa lalaki. Tumigil naman ang driver ng sasakyan para siguruhin na ligtas ang lagay ng rider. Kaagad na isinugod ang rider sa pagamutan para matingnan ng mga espesyalista.
Samantala, nahulog naman ang isang kotse sa China sa isang construction pit. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, nangyari ang insidente sa hanggang sa Guangxi Province. Nagsimula ang lahat matapos na puwersahang lumipat ng lane ang driver ng kotse. Nang magmaniobra ito ay biglang tumama ito sa isa pang sasakyan. Dito na nawala ng kontrol ang driver sa kanyang sasakyan. Mapapansin din na may mga construction workers na nagtatrabaho sa site na nakakita sa pagulong-gulong na sasakyan. Buti na lamang at mabilis silang nakaiwas mula rito. Kinumpirma naman ng mga rumespondeng emergency service crew na nagtamo lamang na minor injuries ang driver.
Dalawang French fighter jets ang nagsalpukan sa himpapawid. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, nasa gitna ng mid-flight training ang mga jets nang mangyari ang insidente. Makikita po sa video na may 6 na aircraft na nagsasagawa ng acrobatic maneuvers. Subalit dalawa sa mga ito ang hindi naging in sync sa isa't isa. Buti na lamang ay kaagad na nakapag-eject mula sa kanilang aircraft ang mga piloto bago ang salpukan. Kinumpirma ng Defense Ministry na nakaligtas sa mga ito at kasalukuyan sila ay nagpapahinga sa ospital. Iniimbestigahan na rin po nila ang sanhi ng mid-air collision.
Magsisimula ng magbenta ang Tesla sa Saudi Arabia sa darating na buwan. Ito rin ay hudyat ng tila pag-aayos ng relasyon sa pagitan ni Tesla owner Elon Musk at ng kaharian. Si JC Yumul para sa mga detalye.
Batay sa Tesla website noong Miyerkules, go na ang pagbebenta nito ng electric cars sa kaharian ng Saudi Arabia. Hudyat rin ito ng pagkakasundo ni Tesla CEO Elon Musk at ng Saudi Arabia matapos ang tila falling out ng dalawa. Nagsimulang magkadistansya ang dalawa nang subukang gawing private company ni Musk ang Tesla noong 2018. Itinweet ni Musk ang mga katagang funding secured kaugnay ng paggawang pribado ng Tesla matapos ang meeting nito sa Sovereign Wealth Fund ng Saudi Arabia, ang pampublikong investment fund ng bansa. Nauwi sa lawsuit ang tweet na ito mula sa investors nang wala pang nagaganap na bid. Nauwi ang kaso na maisa publiko ang tensyonadong text message sa pagitan ni Musk at ni FIP head Yasir Al-Rumayyan. Subalit kumalma ang tensyon nang mabigyan ng mataas na papel ni Musk sa kampanya ni Pangulong Donald Trump. Ayon kay Trump, malamang na bumiyahe ito papunta ng Saudi Arabia bilang una niyang labas ng bansa nang maupo muli sa pwesto. Ayon sa Tesla, ilulunsad nito ang kumpanya sa Riyadh sa 10 ng Abril. Samantala, bumaksak ang EV sales nito sa Europe na sinisisi sa kaugnayan ni Musk sa Trump administration. Target naman ang kumpanya ng mga demonstrador sa US matapos pangunahan ni Musk ang malawakang pagsibak sa mga empleyado ng federal government. JC Yumul para sa Mata ng Agila International, Trusted, Connected, On Point.
Muling nagpakitang gilas ang Agila, isang robotics company sa China, matapos ilabas nila ang kanilang bike riding robot, kilalanin ng Lingxi X2. Ang Lingxi X2 ay equipped with sophisticated multimodal interaction model para sa millisecond level accuracy. Higit sa bicycle riding, kaya rin itong sumayaw, maglusot ng sinulid sa karayom at manahi. Kaya rin itong suriin ang emotional states ng isang facial expression ng isang tao, gayon din ang voice tones nito para sa angkop na pagtugon sa iba't ibang sitwasyon.
Pasok na sa semifinals ng Miami Open si Pinay tennis sensation Alex Eala. Okay po para sa balita.
I don't know. My coach told me to run, to go for every ball, take all the opportunities I can because 5-time Grand Slam champion is not gonna give you the win.
Ito ay matapos na talunin niya si WTA World No. 2 Iga Swiatek sa score na 6-2, 7-5. Sa unang set pa lamang ay naging agresibo na si Eala at naiwasan ng anumang error. Sa kanyang panalo ay nakamit niya ang record number 75 Live Women's Tennis Association rankings. Bago ang pagsabak ni Eala sa naturang torneo, hawak nito ang pang 140 na pwesto sa WTA. Agad siyang umakyat sa ranking at nilagpasan ang mahigit 20 player na dating mas mataas kaysa sa kanya. Ang bagong rank ay batay sa ATP rankings, isang merit-based system na ginagamit ng Association of Tennis Professionals. Kung may papanalo ni Eala ang mga susunod na laban, tiyak ang lalo pa niyang pag-akyat sa pwesto kapag inilabasan ng WTA ang official ranking ng mga babaeng tennis player sa buong mundo. Bagaman hindi opisyal ang live ranking, ito ay nagpapakita ng real-time projection sa standing ng isang player batay sa pinakahuling resulta ng kanilang performance. Samantala, sa isang panayam kay Eala, matapos ang impresibong performance laban kay Iga Swiatek, iginiit niyang dati na niyang inasam na makakaharap din ang world number 2 at iba pang kilalang tennis player. Ngunit, hindi umano niya itong inaasahang mangyayari sa maikling panahon. Susunod na makakaharap ni Eala si Jessica Pegula ng USA.
I would love to think that I make a difference. You know, that's what the only thing I can do to give back to my country is to help inspire change and positive change. To inspire people to pick up a racket, to watch more tennis, watch more women's tennis. And I think that tennis in the Philippines has so much potential, because even though it's not as widespread as other sports, I feel that we have a lot of hidden talent, and if we can have the support to back it up and the exposure to back it up, then I think that Philippine tennis can be a big thing.
Kay Okay para sa Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Pagpalit ni Tsunoda kay Lawson sa Red Bull na pagdesisyonan upang panatilihin at bawiin ang kanilang mga titulo. Si Lara para sa storya.
Inanunsyo ng Red Bull Racing Team na si Yuki Tsunoda na tuluyang papalit kay Liam Lawson sa simula ng Japanese Grand Prix kasunod ng paghihirap sa dalawang huling karera. Nahirapan si Lawson sa pagmamaneho ng kanyang RB21 sa Australian at Chinese Grand Prix weekends laban sa mga mapanlinlang na kondisyon at nagtapos ng 15th sa Shanghai, nakalaunan naging 12th matapos ng disqualifications nila Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton at Pierre Gasly. Dahil rito, napagdesisyonan ang pagpalit para sa round 3 sa Japan at nakumpirma na si Tsunoda ang papalit na kasama ni Max Verstappen sa pagbabalik ng F1 sa Suzuka ng April 4 to 6, habang si Lawson ay ibabalik sa Racing Bulls squad kasama ng rookie na si Isaac Hadjar. Kyle Lara para sa Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Nakoy, kumalat na po sa social media ang mga litrato ni Jude Law bilang si Russian President Vladimir Putin. Bibida ang Hollywood actor sa isang fictional political operative movie na batay sa kwento ni Vladislav Surkov, ang dating aide ni Putin na sinasabing tumulong daw sa Moscow leader na maging Pangulo ng Russia. Wala pang inilalabas sa detalye ang production kung kailan ito ipalalabas. Subalit, marami na ang nagsasabi na bagay sa kanyang role kay Jude Law po dahil kakawig daw ito ng Russian President.
Tatanggapin ng P-pop girl group na BINI ang kanilang prestihiyosong parangal sa Women in Music, the Executive Edition. Bukas kasama ang mga powerful at influential executives ng Filipino music. Si Blair Cabanit para sa Spotlight.
Mula sa kanilang parangal ng Billboard Philippines Rising Stars, patungo sa #1 artist ng Pilipinas. Patuloy ang kanilang dominasyon sa musikang Filipino at pagbibigay ng inspirasyon sa kanilang mga tagapakinig sa buong daigdig. Ipinagmamalaki ng Billboard Philippines ang nation's girl group bilang 2025 Women of the Year. Kasunod kay Global Forbes awardee at Philippines pop star royalty Sara Geronimo noong 2024. Kinikilala ito na pinakamalaking karangalan sa Women in Music Awards na ipinagkaloob sa kababaihang patuloy na nagpapakita ng kahusayan sa kanilang pagsusumikap. Blair Cabanit para sa Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
At formal na pambinida ng Marvel Entertainment ang cast sa matagal nang inaabangang Avengers Doomsday. Ito ay ginawa sa kanilang major live streaming event sa YouTube. Bilang bibida sa pelikula, itong sina Chris Hemsworth bilang Thor, Tom Hiddleston bilang Loki, Anthony Mackie bilang Captain America, Paul Rudd bilang Ant-Man, Letitia Wright bilang Black Panther at iba pa. Samantala, ikinagalak din ng mga tagahanga ang major comeback ng ilang X-Men stars, kabilang na po sina Patrick Stewart na gaganap bilang Professor X, Ian McKellen bilang Magneto, James Marsden bilang Cyclops at Rebecca Romijn bilang Mystique. Sa isang post ng Marvel Studios sa Instagram, nag-iwan ng papuring komento si Robert Downey Jr. patungkol sa aniyay deep bench ng star power na mayroon ang pelikula. Siya namang sinang-ayunan ng Marvel Studios account na lalo pang nagpa-excite sa mga fans. Matatandaan ang huling installment ng Avengers film ay noon pang taong 2019 na pinamagatang Avengers Endgame. Batay sa opisyal na pahayag ng Marvel Entertainment, kasalukuyang nasa produksyon na ang Avengers Doomsday at ipalalabas sa mga sinihan sa taong 2026.
balita nitong Pebrero ay idineklara si Mr. Pugsley Adams bilang panibagong record holder ng domestic cat with the longest tail ng Guinness World Records. Si Mr. Pugsley ay isang 2-year-old Maine Coon na may fluffy tail na ang haba ay 18.5 inches o halos 47 centimeters. Tinalo ni Mr. Pugsley si Raja Shimko na isang silver tabby Maine Coon ng halos 2 inches o 5 centimeters. Ayon kay Amanda Cameron, ang firm mom ni Mr. Pugsley, noong unang pagbisita nila sa vet ay dito na niya napansin ang pambihirang haba ng buntot nito. Dahil rito ay napag-isip-isip niyang mag-research ukol sa longest feline tail online. At dito na nga niya nalaman na natalo ni Mr. Pugsley ang dating record holder nito. Bilang pagdiriwang ay niregaluhan ng buong pamilya ni Cameron si Mr. Pugsley ng maraming hugs at kisses, lalo na ang paborito nitong shoulder massages.
Nanalo po muli ang Gagan Restaurant matapos baguhin ni Chef Gagan Anand ang konsepto nito noong taong 2019. Kilala po ito sa boundary-pushing fine dining experience na may progressive Indian cuisine na may influences mula sa iba't ibang bahagi ng mundo. Sa kanyang talumpati, binigyan diin ni Gagan ang patuloy na pag-angat ng Asia bilang isang global gastronomic hub na mayaman sa kultura at Asian cuisine. Samantala, isa pang tagumpay para sa Bangkok ang pagkapanalo ni Sudari Tam Devakam bilang Asia's Best Female Chef. Ang kanyang restaurant na Baan Tepay nasa 44th spot ngayong taon. Nakuha naman ng dalawang Chinese establishments mula Hong Kong na The Chairman ang second spot at Wings sa third spot na nakuha ang peer-voted Chef's Choice Award. Habang sa ika-4 na pwesto po naman ang nagwagi noong nakaraang taon ang Saan ng Tokyo. Nasa ika-5 pwesto ang Mingles na isang contemporary Korean restaurant. Ngayong taon, Bangkok at Tokyo may pinakamaraming entry sa listahan na mayroong 9 restaurants bawat isa. Samantala, si Kazutaka Ozawa mula sa Crony na nasa 30th spot sa Tokyo ay kinilala bilang best sommelier sa rehiyon.
Naku, hindi mawala sa isip ko si Mr. Pugsley. Ang cute, no?
Ang cute talaga.
Alam mo, isa pang maukyutan dyan, yung aking vet friend na high school best friend ko rin. Isa sa mga high school best friends ko who happens to celebrate his birthday today. So, yan.
Ano pangalan niya?
Si Dr. Wilford Almoro.
Nako, si Dr. Wilford, baka pakainin tayo naman doon sa yung sa best cuisine.
Sa Gagan, oo. Yan na naman, nagpaparamdam na naman ang mga biyahe, diba?
Happy birthday po, Doc. Alam mo na.
Ayan, alam mo na, bilang mga fur moms tayo.
At habang hinihintay po namin ang libreng Doc, tandaan na, narito kami para maghatid ng balita saan mang dako ng mundo. Magandang gabi po. Ako po muli si Rikki Mathay.
Ako si Rikki, Alagao, Flores. Ito ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman po sa iba pang mga balitang nangyari rin sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, punta tayo kay Alma Angeles para sa mata ng Agila World News. Take it away, Alma.
Thank you, Nina and Rikki. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for Net 25 World News. On tonight's headlines.
Senator Amy Marcos, chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, has released preliminary findings from their investigation into the arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte. And the committee's report alleges glaring violations on the rights of Duterte.
Finding was that there were glaring violations of the rights of the former president. The constitutional safeguards guaranteeing liberty and due process of law were not observed. No warrant was issued by a Philippine court. The arrest did not fall within the exceptions of a warrantless arrest.
And the news starts now. Legal counsel Salvador Panelo, or attorney Salvador Panelo, said the Philippine Supreme Court can compel the government to return former President Duterte to the country and explain why he was detained without probable cause. Now, the ICC's arrest warrant is unlawful because he said it lacks jurisdiction over the Philippines post-2019 withdrawal. Here's more.
Wala tayong jurisdiction mula noong March 17,
2019 kasi final natin yon 1 year before. Kaya wala na jurisdiction. Ngayon sabi naman ng ICC, hindi. Under the Rome Statute, kahit nag-withdraw kayo, kung nasimulan na namin ang investigasyon, ay may jurisdiction pa rin kami sa inyo. Obligado kayo na mag-cooperate. Pero ang problema, yung investigasyon na tinutukoy nila, sinimulan nila hindi bago mag-withdraw, kung hindi after mag-withdraw. Kailan sila nag-imbestiga? Kasi yung si Patu, ano ang pangalan ng special prosecutor, humingi siya ng permiso in September of 2021. 1 year and 7 months after the withdrawal, saka lamang sila nag-umpisa ng investigasyon. Isa pa, yun ang warrant of arrest na inisyo ng ICC. Kahit ay pagpalagay mo na valid, nakalagay din sa Article 59 nila. Bago maging valid yan, padaan mo muna sa local court, sa judicial authority. Ganon din ang sinasabi sa extradition natin. Bago mo isoli o isuko ang isang mamamayan, kailangan mag-file ka muna sa lokal na hukuman. Kaya wala ko lahat yan, nalabag yan. Kaya yung interim release na sinasabi nyo, pwedeng gawin niyang batayan na pansamantala siyang mailabas sa lugar. We have to go beyond the Duterte coming back. Lalampasan ho natin yan. Ang mas matinding issue rito ay ang bansang ito sa pamamagitan ng hakbanging ginawa ng pamahalaan sa pagsuko kay Presidente Duterte illegally ay ang pagsuko ng soberentiya ng bansa. The government, through its officials, surrendered the sovereignty of this country by surrendering a Filipino citizen to a foreign tribunal that has no jurisdiction over this country. That is not only an insult to this country, but that is offensive and in derogation of the Constitution, and more importantly, it is a surrender of our sovereignty as a free nation and free democratic country.
Senator Amy Marcos, chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, has released preliminary findings from their investigation into the arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte, and the committee's report alleges glaring violations on the rights of Duterte.
Finding was that there were glaring violations of the rights of the former president. The constitutional safeguards guaranteeing liberty and due process of law were not observed. No warrant was issued by a Philippine court. The arrest did not fall within the exceptions of a warrantless arrest. Meanwhile, General Torre invoked 125 article of the revised penal code only applying to warrantless arrest. The constitutional safeguards for the right to liberty of abode were also disregarded. No court order was issued mandating that the former president be taken out of the Philippines against his will. Former President Duterte was deprived of the right to be visited or to have conferences with immediate family members under Section 2F of Republic Act 7438. General Torre admitted he did not allow Vice President Sara Z. Duterte to visit former president in Villamor Air Base, contrary to RA 7438. Former President Duterte was further denied the right to be brought to judicial authorities under Article 59 of the Rome Statute. The former president was also denied the right to apply for interim release under Article 59 of the Rome Statute or the right to apply for bail under prevailing jurisprudence on extradition. However, during the public hearing of March 20, here at the Senate, the Secretary of Justice insisted on the inapplicability of the Rome Statute. But a DOJ certification signed by Prosecutor General Richard Fadulion stated very clearly that the DOJ made the following determinations. As competent authority of the custodial state, the arrest issued complies with Article 59 of the Rome Statute. To recall, DOJ spokesperson Clavano released a statement last March 13 saying, ang naging role namin ay competent judicial authority. Kami na ang nag-attest na lahat ng proper processes ay ginawa. Similar to Prosecutor General Fadulion, the DOJ spokesperson showed that the article cited in the Rome Statute had been complied with. Therefore, it's apparent that the DOJ first tried to convince the public that the requirements under Article 59 of the Rome Statute were complied with, and then later on, when such stance became untenable, decided to ditch Article 59 and the Rome Statute altogether and pursued another theory, extrajudicial rendition, and invoked RA 9851, particularly Article 17.
A major controversy erupting in Washington, new revelations in the Signal messaging scandal involving Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and a U.S. military operations in Yemen. The Atlantic has published transcripts showing Hegseth shared live updates about us, including launch times for F-18s, drones, and missiles just before the attack. Critics argue this exposed sensitive details while the administration insists no classified information was shared. Take a look.
Nobody's texting war plans.
U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth continued to insist on Wednesday that no classified information was shared in a group chat on Signal that mistakenly included a journalist. This after screenshots of a chat released by The Atlantic showed Hegseth posted highly sensitive plans to kill a Houthi militant leader in Yemen 2 hours before the military operation was carried out. But Hegseth, en route to Guam, continued to dismiss concerns about sharing sensitive information on a commercial messaging app.
There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information. You know who sees war plans? I see them every single day. My job, as it said atop of that, everybody's seen it now, team update, is to provide updates in real time. General updates in real time, keep everybody informed. That's what I did.
On a visit to Jamaica, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who was also part of the group chat, acknowledged to reporters that a mistake was made, but dismissed concerns about any impact on the military operation.
Obviously, someone made a mistake. Someone made a big mistake and added a journalist.
Is it classified, the information?
Well, the Pentagon says it was not. And not only did it say it was not, they make very clear that it didn't put in danger anyone's life or the mission.
Earlier, the country's top intelligence chiefs faced another grilling on Capitol Hill about the incident, this time from House Democrats, including Representative Jason Crow.
It is completely outrageous to me that administration officials come before us today with impunity, no acceptance of responsibility, excuse after excuse after excuse. It is outrageous and it is a leadership failure, and that's why Secretary Hegseth, who undoubtedly transmitted classified, sensitive operational information via this chain, must resign immediately.
The main person who was involved in this thread that a lot of people want to talk to is Secretary of Defense Hegseth. And a lot of questions were brought up regarding his drinking habits in his confirmation hearing. To your knowledge, do you know whether Pete Hegseth had been drinking before he leaked classified information?
I don't have any knowledge of Secretary Hegseth's personal habits.
Director Radcliffe, same question. Yes or no?
You know, no, I'm going to answer that. I think that's an offensive line of questioning. The answer is no. I find it interesting that you want to. I'm going to answer. You asked me a question. You want an answer?
No, listen.
You don't want to focus on the good work that the CIA is doing, that the intelligence community.
Director, I reclaim my time. Director, I reclaim my time. Here, I have huge respect for the CIA, huge respect for our men and women in uniform. But this was a question that's on the top of minds of every American.
Tulsi, you and I came into the Congress together in 2013. And Cash, you and I was serving on the Intelligence Committee when you worked on the Intelligence Committee. And John, you and I are both from Texas, and we both served together on the Intelligence Committee. The idea that this information, if it was presented to our committee, would not be classified, y'all know is a lie. That's ridiculous. I've seen things much less sensitive be presented to us with high classification. And to say that it isn't is a lie to the country. There is no way, having sat on this committee for 9 years, that somebody would come in with that information and give us something that says unclassified, you can walk out of this room with this information and give it to whomever you want. With all respect, you and I worked on the committee at the same time. Tulsi, you and I came in together. I've never had an issue of beef with you. John, you and I are both from Texas. Y'all know that's a lie. It's a lie to the country.
In the other chamber, Senator Roger Wicker, a Republican who leads the Pentagon's Oversight Committee in the Senate, joined calls for an independent investigation into the matter and said the texts appeared so sensitive that, quote, I would have wanted it classified. Meanwhile, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt downplayed the controversy.
I would characterize this messaging thread as a policy discussion, a sensitive policy discussion, surely, amongst high-level cabinet officials and senior staff.
The White House also played down the idea that Hegseth or others would lose their jobs, saying President Donald Trump still had confidence in them.
Well, yeah, Mike Waltz, I guess he said he claimed responsibility, I would imagine. Had nothing to do with anyone else. It was Mike, I guess. I don't know. I was told it was Mike. Hegseth is doing a great job. He had nothing to do with this. Hegseth. How do you bring Hegseth into it? He had nothing to do. Look, it's all a witch hunt. So I think Signal could be defective, to be honest with you. And I think that's what we have to, because you use Signal and we use Signal and everybody uses Signal, but it could be a defective platform, and we're going to have to find that out.
A potential shockwave for the auto industry. President Trump has announced a 25% tariff on imported cars set to take effect April 3rd. Experts warning this move could dramatically increase prices for American consumers and disrupt production, sparking immediate backlash from key trading partners. Take a look.
What we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. We start off with a 2.5% base, which is what we were at, and we go to 25%.
U.S. President Donald Trump said Wednesday that a 25% tariff for imported cars is coming April 3rd, a trade war escalation he's been threatening for weeks. Auto industry experts say the move will drive up prices and stymie production. Nearly half of all cars sold in the U.S. last year were imported, according to research firm Global Data. Trump, who sees tariffs as a way to raise revenue to offset his promised tax cuts and to revive a long-declining U.S. industrial base, spoke about his plan at the White House.
This will continue to spur growth like you haven't seen. Before I was elected, we were losing all of our plants. They were being built in Mexico and Canada and other places. Now those plants largely have stopped and they're moving them to our country.
Meanwhile, Trump said in a proclamation he'll grant a reprieve of up to a month for imports of auto parts. They'll be subject to tariffs on a later specified date, but no later than May 3rd. Trump's announcement drew swift condemnation from the European Union, and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney called it a direct attack on Canadian workers.
We will defend our workers. We will defend our companies. We will defend our country, and we will defend it together.
The U.S. imported $474 billion worth of automotive products in 2024, including $220 billion in passenger cars. The biggest suppliers were all close U.S. allies: Mexico, Japan, South Korea, Canada, and Germany. In Asia morning trade Thursday, automakers led losses on the Tokyo Stock Price Index. Toyota shares lost more than 3% to become the biggest drag, while Honda and Nissan also fell. Meanwhile, Mazda shares fell 6.4% to become one of the worst performers in the Nikkei. The Center for Automotive Research says the new vehicle levies are likely to drive costs of cars higher for consumers by thousands of dollars. They say it will hit new vehicle sales and result in job losses, since the U.S. automotive industry relies heavily on imported parts. The auto tariffs will follow the day after April 2nd, when Trump is also expected to announce global reciprocal tariffs. Those are aimed at the countries responsible for the bulk of the U.S. trade deficit. However, the U.S. president said on Wednesday the measures may not be the like-for-like levies he has been pledging to impose.
No, we're going to make it all countries, and we're going to make it very lenient. I think people are going to be very surprised. It'll be, in many cases, less than the tariff that they've been charging us for decades.
Since taking office on January 20th, Trump has announced and delayed tariffs on Canada and Mexico for what he alleges is their role in allowing the opioid fentanyl into the U.S. He also set tariffs on goods from China for the same reason.
Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba said Tokyo will now put all options on the table in dealing with Washington's announcement of a 25% tariff on automobile imports. Speaking at the meeting of the Japanese Parliament's Upper House Budget Committee, Ishiba questioned whether Japan should receive the same treatment as other nations, given its level of investment in the U.S.
We must consider the appropriate response to this announcement. Naturally, all options are on the table. We are one of the biggest investors in the United States. In fact, we are number one. When we consider this, is it right that all countries are treated the same? We have been making this point and will continue to do so. Japan has made substantial investments and generated significant employment in the United States. This is not the case for every country. We invest in America, we hire people, and we pay the highest wages.
Shares in Japanese automakers fell sharply in early trade today. Automobiles made up of 28.3% of Japan's total exports to the U.S. in 2024, the biggest ratio among all items, according to the Ministry of Finance data. As President Trump moves forward with new tariffs, a starkly different message is emerging from Asia. The Chinese Vice Premier, speaking at a regional forum, is calling for greater openness and cooperation, directly opposing the protectionist trade policies gaining traction in the U.S.
Openness, cooperation, and economic globalization are essential for building an Asian community with a shared future. After decades of development, Asia has become the world's most dynamic region with the greatest growth potential. And one of the most important lessons from this success is to actively open its doors and integrate itself into the world. We should jointly safeguard the free trade system, uphold open regionalism, and resolutely oppose trade and investment protectionism.
South Korea is battling its worst wildfire disaster, with blazes doubling in size, charring over 33,000 hectares and killing at least 27 people. The Houston fire, now the nation's largest on record, is spreading rapidly eastward, fueled by high winds and dry conditions. Acting President Han Duck-soo declared a critical situation as more than 120 helicopters fight the flames across mountainous regions. A helicopter pilot died in a crash during firefighting efforts. Historic sites, including Gunsa Temple, have been damaged, and teams are working to protect UNESCO World Heritage Sites. 3 experts attribute the fire's unprecedented spread to climate change, with limited rain expected to offer relief.
It feels really hopeless. The fire has completely destroyed everything here, so there's nothing left to continue farming with. Now, I have to do everything myself. I have to buy everything and restart from scratch. After 10, 20, 50 years of collecting things, the fire has burned it all down.
Taiwan launched civil defense drills to simulate to simulate how to respond to a large-scale disaster like a tsunami or attacks on critical infrastructure. The drill in the southern city of Tainan was held under the auspices of President Lai Ching-te's new Whole-of-Society Defense Resilience Committee, set up last year to prepare to deal with natural disasters or other emergencies such as an attack by China, which views the island as its own territory. The Tainan drill simulated scenarios such as a tsunami after a massive offshore earthquake and explosions at a passenger port terminal. Speaking to participants after viewing some of the drills, President Lai said these were the first live drills for the committee and involved around 1,500 people, adding that there would be more next month.
Our aim is that we hope Taiwan's society can be resilient, so it can appropriately respond when there are large-scale natural disasters or large unexpected accidents with many casualties, or changes in the regional geopolitical situation that we cannot not be prepared. As the saying goes, prevention is better than cure, and we should rely not on the likelihood of the enemy not coming, but on our own readiness to receive him.
And the news continues here on Net 25. We'll be right back.
Papremyo at kasiyahan. Yan ang hatid namin for everyone. Magkita-kita tayo, mga taga-barangay Poblasyon 1, Marilao, Bulacan. Salubungin natin ang umaga sa Barangay BF International Village CAA, Las Piñas City. Sa Miyerkules, mag-good morning tayo sa Barangay South Signal, Taguig City. Sa Huwebes, see you sa Barangay 190, Zone 20, Pasay City. At sa Biyernes, nandyan kami sa Barangay San Rafael, Montalban, Rizal. Sabay-sabay nating ngitian ang umaga kasama kaming kabarangay nyo, LTE, Love, Tony Beth, and Evra Fang.
Let's get together sa Net 25.
As we explore the ins and outs of intellectual property rights and its impact on the booming e-commerce industry with counterfeit goods and copyright infringements.
Aaralin natin yung patents, yung trademark, yung copyright. To put it simply, bawal ang fake.
Ang intellectual property, hindi lang po yan para ma-reward ang isang creative. We protect the rights of an individual, of a creator, but we make sure that the state or the community benefits from it.
Online Business, an Open for Business with Cesar Vallejos, Sunday, 9 p.m.
Sa Net 25.
North Korea leader Kim Jong-un oversaw the test of AI-powered suicide drones, emphasizing unmanned control and AI as priorities in arms development. He also inspected upgraded reconnaissance drones designed to detect tactical targets on land and sea. For the first time, North Korea unveiled an airborne early warning aircraft, potentially enhancing its aging air defense. State media images showed Kim boarding a large 4-engine aircraft with a Raider drone. Analysts suggest North Korea is converting Russian Tu-76 cargo planes for this role, though its operational capability remains unclear. South Korea's military noted the aircraft's size making it vulnerable to interception and speculated on possible Russian assistance.
오늘 공개한 개조된 조기
The unveiled airborne early warning aircraft today still requires further evaluation in terms of its operational effectiveness and utility. If you see it, you will know that it appears to be quite dull, heavy, and vulnerable to interception. We believe that the internal devices and components may have connections to Russia, and the model itself is an upgraded version of the one that North Korea previously owned.
Kim also reviewed new reconnaissance electronic warfare and attack systems. Photos showed a fixed-wing UAV striking a tank-shaped target and an unmanned surveillance aircraft resembling the U.S. RQ-4 Global Hawk. South Korea's security advisor previously stated North Korea received Russian air defense equipment in exchange for sending troops to assist in Ukraine, where they are believed to have gained drone warfare experience. And now we take you to Chile, where a contentious fishing bill sparked violent clashes between protesters and police. Now the protests turned chaotic as demonstrators breached a security gate and clashed with riot police who deployed water cannons, tear gas, and batons. At least one officer was injured and several protesters were detained. The heart of this conflict lies in the proposed fishing bill. Initially, the lower house approved quotas favoring artisanal fishers, allocating, for example, 70% of hake and 90% of cuttlefish to them. However, Senate revisions drastically slashed these quotas, tilting the balance towards industrial firms. Now, protesters are accusing the 5 senators of dictating the future of artisanal fishing in an anti-democratic way.
Quotas have been set at 70% for artisan fishermen and 30% for industrial ones. However, they were changed by the Senate Fishing Commission. This is what angered us because they didn't respect the discussion that lasted for over a year in the Commission of the Chamber of Deputies. Then, 5 senators said no, and they cut our quotas in a totally anti-democratic and dictatorial way. In the end, 5 people can't decide the future of artisan fishing. This new law will remain for 30 years. This is what brought different groups and fishermen from the Chilean coast here.
Our country is surrounded by sea. We're mere sea, but people barely eat fish. Why? Because the fishing industry uses it to produce fish meal to feed salmon farms, which pollute our sea.
The fishermen argue that industrial firms prioritize fish meal for salmon farms, leaving them with scarce resources and threatening their livelihoods. Chile's fishing industry is a $474 billion sector dominated by industrial firms like Sonapesca, who control the majority of exports.
Nature's light show dazzled in Finnish Lapland. The northern lights, or aurora borealis, painted the night sky over Rovaniemi, a city on the Arctic Circle. Photographers say the display, lasting over half an hour, was exceptionally strong. While auroras are frequent in polar regions during the equinox, this one stood out for its brilliance, making March a prime month for viewing.
And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on Net 25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thanks for joining us. Good night.